What is a product that if people found out how it was made they'd stop buying it? When you buy a used house, you'd be shocked at the corners people cut to make them look sellable. I work at a home improvement retailer. They ask you how to do a project and then disregard what you say if they can do it easier, faster or cheaper. I know the signs of budget flips and budget repairs now. Nothing. People know what goes into hot dogs and chicken nuggets. They still eat them. They've seen what the sweatshops look like. And they still buy stuff from there. I had an ex become a vegetarian when she learned how hot dogs were made. Shortly afterward her family was having a barbecue. Her dad went to the grocery store to get everything. When he came back he said, "I remembered you're a vegetarian so I got you some turkey burgers." She was obviously upset. But at least he tried. Just a fun bonus story. Anyone who enjoys sausage and respects the law should never find out how either are made. Double quote. Once you see how sausage is made, all you want to do is make sausage because it's so much fun. Double quote. Fresh juices are not so fresh apparently. A friend whose family owns mango orchard told me these companies buy the leftover stock that doesn't sell directly and leave the rest to strong artificial flavoring for uniform taste. Baby powder. If only they knew where all the babies go. Seriously though. Most baby powder is made with talcum, which is potentially carcinogenic since it works via breaking down into some of the finest pieces we can make. Fine enough to cause problems for your cells. Use cornstarch. We have too much of it. It works by absorbing the moisture. The only caveat is that you have to make sure to shower it off of you regularly enough that it doesn't mold on you. But that shouldn't be a problem for someone that showers at least once a week. Edit. Pieces. Not nieces, OF King Lord. I'd imagine if people walked through the sweatshops that produce most of their clothing, they would consider spending a bit more for products made in a more humane way. One of the reasons I think buying ethically made clothing is difficult is the large price difference, at least with the clothes I've seen. Also, many of the shops I've seen with strong ethical values tend to be online. And there are some clothing items that are difficult to buy without trying them on. I want to do better but the industry doesn't make it easy. In high school, the girls in my class were horrified to find out what their Uggs were made of. They had no idea. Reminds me of the girl at my high school who realized while eating chicken wings that they were in fact the wings of a dead chicken. I think she's still a vegan 15 years later. It was pure shock. Coffee and cockroaches are linked in several ways. I don't mind. Most chocolate has traces of rat hair and bugs in it anyways. Why should coffee be any different? The human brain is incredibly good at forgetting and ignoring information that might inconvenience it. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends upon his not understanding it. Double quote. Silk. Bonus story. Had a friend who worked briefly in bridal and was fitting a woman who was boasting how vegan and eco-friendly her wedding was going to be. No one was allowed to wear leather, etc. All while wearing her dress with huge amounts of silk on it. Chocolate produced by child labor. I once read a Twitter thread in Arab Twitter about this. It was widely retweeted. Some people were commenting that at least these children are working. Even though the thread clearly pointed out these kids were kidnapped by cacao gangs, chased and killed if they tried to escape. Some people will not stop and will not care and will tell themselves lies and continue about their day. Truth is irrelevant. Certain signed artwork. Used to work at an art printing company that we did signature editions of certain pieces. Guess who did the signing? Me and some co-workers. We were all design and art majors so they just had us learn all the artists' signatures. We even had machines that could mimic the signatures too. I wish I had a picture of the devices, they were pretty cool. It was in the fine print that we were doing it and was approved by the artists, but I guarantee most people would never buy the prints if they knew the signatures were forged. So always read the fine print when buying items. Especially special editions of stuff. After I found out the story behind the palm plantations for production of palm oil, I made it my personal mission to completely throw a hour of my life, and that tea is in almost everything you eat. And in so many cosmetic products and in shampoo and in cleaning detergent. One really wonders why the FCK they put that in there to begin with. I want to say sneakers by brands like Nike, who exploit, underpay and abuse their workers. But sadly most people already know how they are made and still buy them. Buy might be a stretch. But porn. When abuse happens there, not only is it pretty abominable, but the end user also watches a good bit of it with their own eyes. The porn industry is manipulative and often lies to young women. Not to mention some videos are straight up rape. This reminds me of a documentary series my dad once watched. Garlic. The garlic industry is a hell of a lot darker than most people would think. I don't remember everything. But apparently a lot of Chinese companies that sell to restaurants overseas use prison labor. These inmates have to peel the garlic completely by hand. No tools whatsoever. There were a few inmates missing fingernails. If I recall correctly. One man said that he had a friend who had to resort to using his teeth because he didn't have any nails left. They work unimaginably grueling shifts, in which they have to meet a quota for the day or face consequences. They get paid very little, if anything at all. They all seemed so miserable. The series is titled Rotten. You can find it on Netflix. Veal. Yup, there is a reason why you don't see too many male calves on a dairy farm. You'd be surprised how many products, including food, involve slavery, edit, and or animal cruelty. I greatly prefer to go leather free in anything I use. I'm torn on leather. I've heard that it's typically made of the leftover skin from beef cattle that farmers sell to places that make leather, and I can totally get behind the idea of not wasting any part of the animal. But if that's not the case, and it's literally just from animals killed for their leather, that's definitely not okay. Almost anything, to be fair. Nike, Apple. I could go on for days. The people making them have terrible conditions. People always point at Apple for exploiting Chinese labor but don't realize that pretty much every company does the same thing and most of them use the exact same factory as Apple. It's called Foxconn, not Apple. They make everything. Apple charges a premium for their American designed Chinese labor. If anyone could afford to do better, it's them. But instead they let people just assume they must be doing better. Because why would Apple ever do wrong? Pretty much all meat and poultry. There's a reason people take their kids to the strawberry fields to pick their own food and not the slaughterhouses. Mirrors. It involves sending miners into deep Arctic caves to retrieve the element mirrorium. It's a crystal in its natural state and apparently you could make a 10 feet x 10 feet mirror out of just a pen tip sized amount. I'm obviously making this up because I don't know how mirrors are made and they scare me. I can't f-king and bread this. Man. Thanks a lot. I guess back to looking at my reflection on the side of my toaster. Vegetables aren't necessarily made, so this might not count, but if people saw the exploitation of people that went into getting their fruits and vegetables, it'd be a different story. Many minorities work their asses off for little to no pay, through rain or shine. If they saw the hands and feet of the workers that provide them with the food, they'd be pretty shocked. How hard could it be? All you do is pick fruit and vegetables all day, yeah right. Also the annoying "oh my god you should be vegan, it's completely cruelty free." People should shut up because the food you're provided with by grocery stores isn't cruelty free either. Hot dogs and bologna. I kinda like the idea of eating the leftover meat. It seems more sustainable. As long as it tastes good and is safe. Who cares? A lot of perfumes are made out of musk glands that come from deer. They are killed in order to get it and it's not pleasant. Also some vanilla flavoring uses a liquid that comes out from the base of a beaver's tail. It's not a pleasant experience for them either. Diamonds. Man-made diamonds are great. Also there are so many diamonds in the world that they actually are not worth what we think they are. A $2,000 diamond is worth more like $50. The blood diamond monopoly has us all whipped. Buy them second-hand if you have to, or go man-made. But better yet, get something else. My wedding ring is a sapphire and it's so much more interesting. RVs. They aren't insulated fully. Nothing is sealed correctly. All the electronics that are fancy and new are outdated and inefficient. The manufacturers use the cheapest materials possible and all RVs are built in 8 hours. A vacation home. On wheels. In 8 hours? Yup, I mean just looking at them you can tell they are cheap. Even nice ones. I'd much rather make my own out of an old school bus. Marshmallows. 100%. It's animal hooves, I do believe. I think if we are already killing an animal to eat, using all of it is much better than dumping it. Use everything. A lot of butter tbh. They feed the cows literal garbage. And to get as much milk as possible, they take the cow's calves away. The cows cry for days afterward. I made it pretty far through this thread, but the crying cows is the end for me. Gummy bears. I know it's made of weird meat, but it tastes good and are fun to play with. Nestle chocolate because child slavery. Nestle chocolate because Nestle sucks. Haven't given that company money in almost a decade. They're now trying to use my hometown's wells to fill their plastic water bottles. Fruit smoothies. People think they're getting their daily dose of fruit, but that shit's mostly ice, yogurt and high sugar juice with only a few pieces of solid fruit sauce. I work at Boost. I don't know what's in a Jack in the Box taco. It's not really meat and it's not really bean, but it's so tasty and I'll eat them anytime I'm drunk and or high. Cocaine. I stopped eating beef because I've seen too many cute cows on the internet. Same with babies. Monster energy drinks. I have been to their bottling warehouse. I was in college with some guys who became chemists for them while I was working on my doctorate. Some defect in one of the machines caused a bunch of cans to leak. The wood pallets underneath disintegrated like wet paper. Further, the maintenance crew was on a cleaning rotation. They told me that the monster tanks do not get cleaned unless there is so much buildup that it changes the taste. This is because it is so caustic that bacteria and mold don't survive. You would think all meat products? I think most people understand how awful those factories are, and yet I always thought the trillions of males chicks that get discarded for the egg chicken industries would be enough to swear people off eggs. Parmesan cheese. An essential ingredient in its production is calf rennet, a mixture of enzymes produced only in young nursing calves. Edit. Typo. I've worked in 2 different meat departments and 2 separate grocery stores. The meat in the case that has had work done, marinated or like put into kebabs, are usually the old meat we didn't sell that is about to go bad. That marinade is hiding how shitty the meat looks. Very few for ethical reasons. We all know our phones are made with minerals mined by slaves to fund child soldiers. But the new one has a slightly bigger screen. Silk. Sweatshops. Leather and meat. At bad factories, some are good. Edit. Also some makeup. Meditation companies. Absolutely nothing. For instance, kids were all shown the process of nuggets. No, not pink slime. Just blended giblets, and they all still wanted it. Most people could care less if it's cheap, tastes good, works well, etc. Very few people actually care about the process. My parents decided to build a house in another state. The builder did not know I lived in the neighborhood. The builder took this nice piece of land and spread about 2 feet of broken concrete over where the front yard and house would be, not knowing much about construction practices. I took a picture and showed it to a construction engineer friend. He said that was messed up and there was no reason for that. Hired a local third-party engineer to visit the building site, and he said the builder was destroying the land. Parents had a lawyer send a letter to the builder. Builder's lawyer wrote back, denied any wrongdoing. Parents threatened to sue. Builder offered to refund deposit, rather than waste time money on a lawsuit. Parents took back deposit and walked away. Wasted money on architect fees. Builder completed house. The finished house was raised 3 feet above of where the natural ground was. Whoever bought that house either didn't know or care that 6 inches below was tons of broken concrete debris. FCK that guy and every builder like him. Diamonds. As well as pretty much all electronics. It's all run by a company called De Beers. And it's a monopoly for all the rare minerals that are necessary for all electronics. Its mines are in Africa and it is operated off of slave labor. If anyone tries to run, or if they get caught trying to take any diamonds minerals, they get a limb chopped off. They often have family members held captive so they don't run. Cause if they do, their family member is killed. If they get caught doing bad things enough, they eventually lose all limbs and can't work. So they're left on their own to die. Diamonds are not nearly as rare as people think. They're just all marketed by the same company. They forcefully buy out any competitors so they maintain a monopoly, so they're way overpriced. Recycled condoms. Just turn it inside out and shake the FCK out of it. Who cares? People know that their clothes are from sweatshops but they still wear it. People know what's in chicken nuggets but they still eat them. People know every app sells their data to Winnie the Pooh but they still use it. People know their coffee are obtained with slave labor or extremely underpaid conditions but they still drink it. No matter what someone, or even legitimate documents, tell everyone. Nothing changes because these things are essential to our daily lives. I won't tell my vegetarian friend about Reddit. She's vegetarian because of her sympathy for animals. She does eat cheese though. If she found out that hard cheese is made with a bit of calf's stomach, she might have a breakdown. There is vegetarian Reddit, but you have to look for the cheese brands made with it. I think Tillamook has some. Food? As an old ex-waiter, most people would be shocked at how their food is prepared and the lack of quality effort that goes into it. I'm not covering fine dining as I never worked those establishments. I'm referencing the average dining experience for most people, ex-Olive Garden, Applebee's, your local sports bar, etc. Everything was low cost, low quality. Watch the movie Waiting for an example. 80% of that goes on at an average chain restaurant. Most hotel hospitality places. If people knew what went on pre-corona, nobody would ever go on holiday. And I can't imagine it will get better post-corona. Mozzarella cheese is made using rennet. Rennet is a bunch of enzymes formed in the stomach of immature ruminants that are key for the animal to digest the milk from its mom. So, to make mozzarella we gotta rip out the stomachs of baby cows. I had a lot of vegetarian friends who did not realize this and would gladly wolf down pizza, who now hate me for ruining pizza. Reality TV. Yeah. Most people know it's scripted to an extent and employs editing tricks to enhance drama. But unless you're working in reality TV, you really have no idea the extent to which the bullshit percent goes. I promise you. Unless it's a game show, and even then sometimes, there is not a second of any reality TV show you watch that is not planned out beforehand to the minute. I don't know if that would necessarily stop people from consuming said programs. But when I started working in the biz, that's what the kids call it. I've never been able to watch these shows without the edits and heavily scripted moments sticking out like a sore thumb. Palm oil. Found in many things like Nutella. Palm oil harvesting is the biggest cause of the deforestation of over 50% of Indonesia's rainforest. Most clothing products, shoe products. A lot of mass-produced meats. Electronics. Maybe not how it was made, but the condition of the people making it, the treatment of the animals. Organic fruits and vegetables. It's just hilarious frustrating to me that people think this is the healthier or even greener option. Especially once you know what has to be done to keep them organic. Some of which is just disgusting. In college we watched a video that showed how those plastic party bead necklaces were made. The kind you get for Mardi Gras or for New Year's. I can't remember if it was China or Korea. But it was a bunch of mostly women and very young women making these necklaces on machines in a pretty not fun looking place. Big bins full of beads. They were making like pennies per hour or something. Like they made dollars a week and worked all day. They said they worked and went home and slept and then it was back to work. It was pretty sad and depressing to say the least. If people had to witness the animal testing process for the products they buy, people wouldn't buy them. There are so many cruelty-free options. Yet people are still voting with their dollar and supporting animal testing. Kebab meat. Worked in a quality control company for a while, which among other things tested food for bacterial contamination. Kebab meat was so disgusting and full of bacteria we had to adjust standards so we could accurately determine how badly contaminated it was. Fish sauce. The base for many Thai dishes. Fish is fermented for 6 months with salt until it breaks down into a thick slurry. It is then strained in the sun and after that stored in containers for years. But you know what? It is delicious and I'm eating it for forever. Milk. A cow is made pregnant by a guy showing a long plastic insemination tube up a cow's vagina to make it pregnant. Once the calf is born, it is immediately separated from the mother, who constantly cries for it for the next 5-7 days. If the calf is female, it goes to make more milk. If the calf is male, it is either immediately killed for pet food or is kept in a veal cage for the next 90 days without light or any food that will darken its meat to make veal. Meanwhile, its mother is kept in cage in a factory shed and fed hormones to keep her producing milk. And by the way, milk is a concretion of a cow's mucus and white blood cells. Enjoy.